that government works when people collectively work together to make people's lives better. And every day, their lives better. And I can't think of someone that I know in state government right now who does that better than Seth. He really, really understands it. He understands policy. He understands how to implement that policy. And I know, we all know in this room how important it is for us to keep the House in Democratic hands. We know that that's important. Because I know that Seth is going to go to Washington and fight to keep the Affordable Care Act. I know he's going to do that. I know he's going to fight to extend the child tax credit. I know he's going to do that. I know he's going to fight for women. I know he's going to fight for women's rights. And I also know he's going to fight for workers and workers' rights. I know he's going to do that because he believes in collective action. But what I will also tell you is Seth is going to fight for District 2. And I know this because I live in District 2. And in 2016, East Greenwich was facing a Republican council that was spinning a narrative that East Greenwich was bankrupt. And they were doing that to cut services to working people and to seniors and to people in our town. And at the time, we had one Democrat in office, and Treasurer Magaziner came down in his role as treasurer and sat in our public library with 10 candidates. I think 5 have never run for office before, and talked us through that lie and that fake narrative. And he spent time explaining OPEB, unfunded liability. Our eyes were rolling in the back of our heads, and he kept at it, and he taught the candidates and members of our committee how to speak about fiscal responsibility, and gave them the confidence to go out in the community and do just that. So, not that that was not enough, he also wrote a letter as state treasurer so he could go to town council and say, you are not telling us the truth. And East Greenwich is solving. And he was there for East Greenwich. He was there for District 2. He was there for our municipality. He knocked on doors with all of us. So I support Seth, and I'm just so excited and honored to be able to introduce him today, because not only will he will represent us in DC, he will represent us here in our state and here in District 2. So please join me in welcoming Seth Magaziner.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you to Krista Thompson, first and foremost, for turning East Greenwich blue, and we're going to keep it that way. Thank you to our incredible host committee, full of leaders. I want to recognize all of you. It would take me all night, but call out, we do have some of my colleagues from the State House here, Representative Williams, Representative Ruggiero, Representative Casimiro, Councilor Ryan, and others who are tremendous champions for the state of Rhode Island. Thank you for your public service. Thank you to my wife and mother and son Max. My wife Julia, my mother Suzanne, and my son Max, who I'll talk about in a minute. Our incredible campaign team and Slimy for organizing this event. And I don't know if she's here or not, but Sherry Leonard, the owner, is a woman-owned business. Tavolo, we've got to support our woman-owned business. Thank you, Sherry, for hosting us. So I'm Seth Magaziner. I'm the state treasurer and a candidate for Congress. I am running because I want my son Max to grow up in a democracy just like we all did. Our country is in a critical place. There is an agenda out of Washington that threatens everything that we hold dear. Women's rights, voting rights, our very democracy. As treasurer for the last 7 years, I've had the honor to work with many of you to make change, positive change here in Rhode Island. Working together, we launched a once-in-a-generation program to repair school buildings all across the state of Rhode Island. We are repairing and replacing nearly 200 schools all across the state of Rhode Island so that children can have a better future right here in our state. Working with many of you, we created new clean energy funding programs here in Rhode Island that have put thousands of people to work transitioning to a clean energy economy so that we can build a more sustainable future here in Rhode Island and across the world. Working with many of you, we passed common sense gun safety legislation in Rhode Island, and we made Rhode Island just the 4th state in the country to say that we are not going to invest the state's money in companies that manufacture assault weapons for civilian use. We did that right here in Rhode Island. Recognizing again the leadership of many, including Chairwoman Williams, who is here, I was proud to advocate for the RPA because we have to protect women's rights to health care, to accessing health care here in Rhode Island and across the country. Thank you to many of you for your leadership on that. Now we have to continue this work. We have to continue this work. And if I'm fortunate enough to represent this district in Washington, we are going to continue the fight for education and childcare. We have to make preschool universal all across the state of Rhode Island and all across our country and make childcare more affordable. We have to make health care more affordable. We have to transition to a clean energy future so that we have a future. We have to fight back against these efforts to repeal access to the ballot box, to turn back these efforts to take away a woman's right to choose. We have to stand strong on these fundamental issues of fairness at a time when they're under unprecedented attack. Working together, I know that we can do it. I know that we can hold the line against the Republican agenda in Washington and build a better future for my son and for children all across the state of Rhode Island, but it's going to take all of us working together to get it done. So, let's talk about what comes next, because this is not going to be an easy race. We're going to have to work hard to keep District 2 in Democratic control. Here's the landscape. The 2nd Congressional District, which we are in, Hillary Clinton got 51% of the vote in this district. Joe Biden only got 56% of the vote in this district. It is looking like a challenging year for Democrats nationally. It's a midterm year. And Donald Trump is not going away. His supporters are not going away. They see opportunity here in Rhode Island. They have the candidate they want in Alan Fung, someone who is well known. And so we are up against a serious task in this campaign. What we're going to have to do is twofold. Number one, we're going to have to make sure that people understand the stakes. That if Alan Fung wins this seat, his very first vote is going to be to put Kevin McCarthy and Jim Jordan and Marjorie Taylor Greene in charge of the United States Congress. We cannot let that happen. We have to do our part in Rhode Island to make sure that doesn't happen. He likes to call himself a moderate and pretend that he's a moderate, but that is not his record. His record is that he was on the record. He opposed the Affordable Care Act, which gave health insurance to 75,000 Rhode Islanders and protects Rhode Islanders with pre-existing conditions. He opposed raising the minimum wage in Rhode Island from $7 to $8, and then from $8 to $10.10, and then from $10.10 to $15. He opposed paying librarians in Cranston $12 an hour. That is not moderate. That is an extreme agenda. He opposed marriage equality, an issue that is very dear to my heart, having been a volunteer with marriage equality with Rhode Island. He opposed the red flag laws that we passed here in Rhode Island a couple years ago to keep guns out of the hands of domestic abusers and protect victims of domestic violence. He has an endorsement from Rhode Island Right to Life, which is seeking to end access to reproductive care in our state, in our country. That is not a moderate agenda. That is lockstep with the Kevin McCarthy's and Donald Trumps down in Washington, D.C. So we have to make sure that people know the consequences. On the flip side, we have to make sure that people understand the opportunities. If we can get to Washington and do big things. The child tax credit, which Krista mentioned, cut childhood poverty in half last year. We can make big change that will make a tremendous difference to Rhode Islanders here in our state and Americans all across the country by expanding the child tax credit, by making pre-K universal, by expanding access to child care, by expanding access to health care. We can do these things. We know what works, but it's going to take all of us working together to get it done. So, here's what all of you can do to help out. We have got a tough campaign ahead of us, but a righteous campaign and a campaign we have to win together. Talk to Kate and Katie at the front desk and Patty. We need volunteers. We have our field director starting in 3 weeks. We're going to be out knocking on doors. We're going to be phone banking. We have to make sure that Democratic voters turn out. District 2 is a purplish to light blue district, but there are more Democratic voters in District 2 than Republican voters. We have to make sure that we ID our voters and that they turn out. So we're going to be phone banking, we're going to be door knocking, we're going to be working with other good Democratic candidates across the district to get out that vote. Film a quick social media video. They'll tell you how to do that at the front desk also. We want to get the word out and show that we have momentum. We're off to a great start. We have a great team in place. The turnout tonight and the host committee that we had for this event is a sign that we have support, we have momentum, people understand that this race is important, but we are going to have to work hard all the way to November. So I want to thank you all once again for turning out. Thank you. All of us working together collectively can keep this seat in Democratic hands, and we can deliver an agenda that really will make a difference for generations to come. Thank you very much, everybody.